Usually what happens right off the bat, we do introductions, housekeeping, and that sort of thing, and then Mors sits down and away he goes. And we never know how long he's going to teach. We just kind of sit back and let him go. And it could be 5 hours later when we stop. We don't really know. So I want to just take some time right now because Mors isn't with us. Mors has passed away in October. And I think that there's some people here that maybe don't even know who we're talking about. But we're going to say his name throughout this course over and over and over. And so I want to spend a few minutes. I want to bring a few choice words. So I'm going to look for my choicest words right from inside my heart for a man named Mors Kochanski, because none of us would be here right now if it wasn't for him. So we set a little place of honor here for him. There's a little chair to symbolize, of course, that he's here with us with some of the things that he's given us. Only a very small portion of the things that he's given us. So a quick thing, if you haven't heard about, or if you don't know who Mors is, Mors was an exceptional human. He was a scholar. He was practical. He had a very scientific mind. He had a very generous, giving heart. He just had an awful lot of really exceptional qualities kind of squished into one person. And he also, at some point in his life, decided he wanted to have a career educating people about the outdoors. And so he did the rare thing of actually managing that and being able to have a 40-plus year career as an outdoor educator. And so because of him, this course is here. This originally was his course and his kind of brainchild. But a lot of us have shown up, of course, because of our love for everything that he stood for and everything that he gave to us. Mors started this week-long course. Here's a brief history on it. He started it at a place called Bear Lake, which is down the road from here a little ways. And he would run the course kind of by himself. Randy came on board, and Randy would make the trip to Bear Lake, and they would run that course, a week-long course like we're looking at here, with likely a lot of the content was exactly the same. I'm guessing the content was the same. And Mors would do the course kind of by himself. They had a maximum of 12 participants over at Bear Lake, and they'd do it all there. They'd set it up primitively, and they'd sleep in the shelters, and they'd do the course there. One thing that Mors was maybe not so exceptional at was promoting himself and getting his information out there. But when he partnered with Randy and Lori, there was this really nice partnership that formed. Mors had all these wonderful talents, but Randy and Lori also knew how to get him out to the world. And so in that partnership, not only did they work together running courses, but Randy and Lori and Mors put together DVDs, YouTube videos, now that we have YouTube, publications, and things just kind of exploded from there. So it was a really wonderful partnership. At some point, 23 years ago is what Randy said, but you think it's maybe a little longer. It doesn't matter.
I think Rand took class with him in about 94.
Right. Yeah.
And then it was, I think, maybe a year or two after that we started. Because I remember when we did the teepee for the museum, we worked for it in 96.
Yeah.
And it came out in 97 in the museum. And we were already doing classes with Mors then. Because he came to our house in Oxford and he went, holy shit, because we had a huge house, right? Yeah. We were doing the hides in that garage then. But and he was already on board with us then. So yeah. I'm sure it was like maybe 95 that we started doing stuff with him already then.
Yeah. So through that partnership, there was you purchased this land, and it made sense that the course would come to here. And they started to develop this facility. They started to clear it, put up shelters and the structure. And it is what you see today after 20 plus years of summer and winter courses and the occasional fall and spring course. There were in the beginning days, it was Mors teaching, and Randy was a campy, and Lori was a campy. And that's the way they'd roll. And Mors, Kelly once said to me, he said, I wish you could see Mors when he was in his prime. I didn't. So his prime 20 years ago,
Yeah, he
was spectacular.
He was a lot like Kelly,
spectacular.
put it that way.
Yeah,
There's
spectacular.
a lot of comparison there.
And he'd just go. He'd just go. And he would blow your mind. He would blow your mind, the skill and the precision and the stuff he'd pull out of his head. It was, it was quite impressive. And
We used to only do 12 people because that's all we could handle. And for a lot of years, Randy was up north working, and so it was Mors and I. We put the courses on. We did 12 people, and it was just the two of us. But he was that good, right? He was that good of an instructor that all I had to do was help with, making sure the things got done around here. But it was a lot. You guys have a lot of luxury here compared to what we used to have when we first started running courses with him. I mean, you had a pot and a spoon. That was your dishes. That was your coffee cup, and that was your eating utensils. That's all you got. Like, there was no, you melted snow. There was no water being brought in. All that kind of stuff. So it's it's a little bit more luxurious than it used to be. So, yeah.
the course was run here, and then eventually it started to grow, and you needed to bring in other instructors. And as Mors began to age, you needed to have somebody help out.
Program together, right? So Mors wanted to. He always had the survival, instructor trainee program that he would kind of run, but he had very few takers. He had very few people who wanted to do it, and so we sort of tried to help him promote that, and through that, we had a lot of people that kind of wanted to come in on the courses and help out, and so that's what we did, is we brought a lot of the guys in on it. Like,
so around 11 years ago, Kelly came on the scene, and Kelly has been, as Mors aged, slowed down a little bit, Kelly's been the lead instructor. And then, as Lori mentioned too, people like John started becoming more involved, and I got more involved. And actually, for a while, Mors and I we had a relationship. I didn't actually come here to the courses. I finally made my way here. But the point of it is that not only the people that are here right now, but there is probably, 8, 10, 12 other high quality, high caliber, amazing instructors that have really stuck closely to Mors and everything that he did and taught throughout Alberta. There really is, and some of them may be beyond. But so there are people that have really taken his torch, or his fire, I guess I'll call it, and run with it. The reason I wanted to talk about this is because his legacy is not anywhere near complete. It's carrying on through the people that are dedicated to him. Randy and Lori, obviously, a serious commitment. Their year is spent giving back this stuff that they got from Mors. Okay? In every way, in every shape and form, they spend their lives dedicated to this. They're not going anywhere. Kelly has spent a lifetime dedicated to Mors and everything that he stood for and everything that he did, and Kelly is sharing that with the world. John, one of the things I really love about John is he's really great with social media, and he's probably, like, if you follow him on any of his social media posts, you see that he holds Mors up here. And everything that John posts is like, Mors, man, Mors. And John's got his smile on, and he's like, man, Mors was just all that. It's in his heart. He makes the time to go and spend time with Mors and go and stay at his house, and so there's a whole circle of people that are so committed and dedicated that this carries on. It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop with Mors's passing. So we're going to have a chair of honor here for him. There's been tens of thousands of people who have been infected by Mors, and I swear 100% of them, upon meeting him, leave going, wow, that was something, right? And so he's just a rare, exceptional human, and so I want to place him in a place of honor. But I also want to acknowledge, that was the whole purpose of me talking right now, I want to acknowledge that it's not the end. It's just, it's maybe the end of an era, but it's also the beginning of a really exciting chapter, because there's some really incredible people that have come out of that lineage, and they are going forth, right? And some of us are here, and there are some that are on the outskirts and connected to us all. So awesome, and you'd be surprised. You'll see them in television. You'll see them. They're famous and all over the place. So, okay, are we good with that? So I'd like to propose that this little chair. We'll see how it goes through the week. As we start getting busy, things just happen and stuff gets spread all over the place. But at least I'd like to make sure that we acknowledge that he's here with us. So the content this week is Mors' content, all of it, right? Kelly puts the list together. We check it off. Yeah, and it's in the book that Randy and Laurie produced called the Grand Syllabus. All that stuff is in there. So that's what we're all part of right now. In this week and sharing together, and you'll hopefully by the end of the week you'll see why it's so awesome and so exciting. And
one of the things I could say about Mors was he always had something funny. He was a funny person. And he had a certain sense of humor. And I'm going to share one of the stories with it. So just to give you a bit of context where we were. So we're all sitting inside of a shelter. It's called the mech shelter. It's basically a sea can that folds out, and there's tents. And we had it pretty posh where we'd set up for our survival training, but it was very austere. So we would come in and we'd set it all up. And it turned into the interactions Mors would have with people would just happen. And they were very random, and they would just, he just loved to sit. If he had something, a Coca-Cola or a coffee that was really sweet to sit there and sip on, he'd just sit there and talk. So Mors had just got one of the more Eldris knives, and he was just tickled with it. He was playing with it because they had the sparker, and he was just sparking everywhere at this camp, talking about ferrocium rods. And this little knife, the farmer's knife, and the changes he'd make to it. And there was another gentleman, and Kelly knows him. Somebody might know him here, but it was Dr. Howard Stockburger. So Dr. Stockburger retired, general surgeon out of Edmonton, and when he retired, he moved up to the Calling Lake area. But he's 84, I think. But he still volunteers with the search and rescue. He still gets up every day and he goes out. And he says to me, on one of the courses, he says, I'd really like to come up and meet the old guy. I said, he's younger than you, Howard. Right? He says, well, it's just how I feel, he says, right? If you met Howard's just like a little spring. He just goes around and does stuff. So they're sitting around and in there, and Howard's only came to come and spend time with Mors. And the interaction between these two was just amazing. They were talking back and forth. Mors gets up, and he's sparking. And then he gets this big, perfect, that big globular spark off the ferrocium rod, and he goes, well, here's Howard in his $1,000 Canada Goose parka, and this thing goes, blip, and Howard's going like this, and he's kind of like a little hush went over the shelter, and Howard's looking at him, and he's and then Mors looks at him and goes, if anybody asks you where you got those holes in your parka, you can tell them the great Kochanski did that. That summed it up. There was always something happening with him, and he was just a really funny guy. So all week I'll be telling more stories. I'll have more stuff that will pop up as you guys, seed or water my little stories that will pop out of my head. But I always said that Mors, you planted seeds. And then coming together in a situation like this is where you water it, nurture that seed, and then it grows. And not to be too whatever the word is, philosophical, but we our roots start to intertwine. And this is a really good place to nurture those seeds that Mors planted in our heads. So that's all I got to say, guys.
Awesome.